Yeah, that's fine. We can just wait. Yeah, that's good.
Beat the mayor.
All right, good evening all. It is 6:30. It is Monday, October 9th, and this is our Committee of the Whole meeting. I'm going to go and invite Chief Mankel up first, and we're going to actually at this point be going over item 9B on the consent agenda, and this is the Police Department request to purchase a Lucas compression system. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So, like you said, you guys got the packet on the request to purchase the Lucas system. So where this comes from, back in 2022, the state of Michigan received a $800 million settlement from 3 of the largest pharmaceutical companies to expand treatment and care for the fight against the opioid pandemic. The city of Walker put in for this settlement to help receive funds on that to help us here in the city of Walker. We end up getting the money for it, and after looking at the guidelines of what we can spend this for, there's some pretty strict guidelines that we attached with the packet there. The Walker Police Department team, especially Officer Stevens, we went through this thing and said, what can help us the best here in the city of Walker? A lot of them, if you looked at that, is a lot of programs that you have to set up that really don't fit what we could do. But one of the things we found is that the Lucas machine and device would be perfect for us and a great asset to help us on the treatment side for when we run these overdose type of calls. So in 2022, we ran 22 calls for service for overdoses, with 4 of those being full cardiac arrest. So we average, basically a couple of these every month on these. And with that, we also had 23 other calls for service, which were non-opioid cardiac arrest. So, I mean, you're looking at about 40 calls here between the drug and non-drug calls that we've used. We could use some extra help on this. So, the purchase of this device, I think, would not only help us for those suffering, the cardiac arrest from the opioid overdoses, but also any cardiac arrest. And I'll have Pierce from Stryker come up and explain it, and it's in your packet there. But what this is it really is a CPR machine for us to play it. It does the compressions. This machine is very good at compression rate. When you get human activity involved in compression rates, we get tired. Depth compression gets changed. Where this machine, once it gets set up, and he can set this up for us and show us that it's very consistent. The perfect depth, perfect rate, which gives us better blood flow through the body and better chance of survival. So that's the big key on this device. And again, when he comes up, he can get into the backbones of all that. But it also helps us because when we start doing these compressions, we usually have a team of 3 to 4 officers or firemen that are involved in CPR. It gets very, we do CPR for a minimum of 30 minutes. It gets very tiring doing that. But this way, once we get this device set up, we no longer do the chest compression. So it's up, we take the human element out of it. So with the approval of this device, what our plan is, we'll assign this to a patrol car that will be on the road 24/7. We'll make sure it is out there, that will respond to all medical emergencies. It does meet the criteria for what we need it for. We'll continue to evaluate this. Originally, we tried to get a grant through Firehouse Subs for a second device just because of how big our city is and the cost of them. We did not get that grant. So we'd love to get this one going, continue to monitor it, see where we sit down the road to see if we do need a second one eventually, just to the demographics of our city. So, any questions to start with? If not, I can turn it over to Pierce real quick and show you how this machine works, and he can answer some of the more technical questions. But as he's doing that, I'll take any other questions.
Commissioners, any questions for Chief Michael? Seeing none. Pierce, if you wouldn't mind and indulge us, please, if you want to put it right up on the table. Yeah, and then you can work from there. We can all see it, maybe even the cameras out in the public are able to see it, maybe not.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for allowing me to come and kind of walk you through exactly what the device is. So, like Chief said, my name is Pierce Shabellak with Stryker's Emergency Care, Stryker based out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And this is an automated CPR device. So, as Chief mentioned earlier, the biggest struggles with CPR throughout this area, throughout the entire country, is going to be the human element. So, we have a few things. We get tired, which is perfectly normal. Towards the end of that 2-minute cycle of CPR, you're going to see a degradation as far as the quality and depth or the rate. That's not becoming as consistent as it was at the start. The other thing is going to be provider safety. So if we're performing CPR on a patient in the back of an ambulance, you're not strapped in, you're holding on to a rail above your head, pushing with one hand, which we all know is not ideal either for the responder or the patient, because one-handed CPR is not great CPR. So the other piece is going to be ventilation. So a big thing that's coming out now in more and more studies is going to be over-ventilation. What's happening is providers are bagging a patient or providing oxygen to a patient too often, just because of the nature of CPR. Everybody's adrenaline is flowing a little bit more than normal, and so in those situations, you are increasing the pressure in the thoracic cavity and preventing venous return. So you're actually inhibiting blood flow by overventilation. So what the Lucas does to solve those problems, it doesn't get tired, it does perfect CPR, it will tell you when to ventilate so that you're making sure that responders are providing the correct amount of ventilations for your patient. And then the other piece is it's going to calm the scene and allow providers to be strapped in, whether that's in the back of an ambulance, helicopter, or on scene if they're moving a patient. The patient's still getting perfect CPR. So I can walk you guys through it extremely quickly here. So all the pieces, parts, everything you're going to need are going to be within the case. So you place the back plate right here is the compressor itself. You set it up by ABC 1, 2, 3. So it creates about 7 seconds worth of pause to CPR. You connect one side, that will go over your patient. Connect the other side. This piston right here is going to come down onto the chest. And then you have 3 buttons up top, 1, 2, and then select either 30 and 2 or continuous, depending on if your patient's intubated or an established airway, and you just press play. It will do its 30 compressions, and then it will give a brief countdown to let the responders know, hey, in the next few seconds, we're going to give our 2 ventilations. It'll pause, they'll give their 2 ventilations, starts right back up. If they ever had to pause it or remove it for any reason, just go back through your steps, 3, 2, 1, and you can take it off or leave it on. We've had saves with this where folks have been on these devices for over 4 hours. There's one just over in Niles, around Christmas time. They found a young gal in the snow, kept the device on for over 4 hours. They got rhythm back after 4 hours, converted that rhythm through the use of an AED, and she's neurologically intact, which would never happen with normal CPR. So it's pretty incredible to see what these devices can do. Any questions for me?
Now, in the situation you just mentioned, the AED, and having just gone through this with Officer Stevens, getting the recertification, applying that AED, does this need to be removed out of the way, or you can use this in conjunction with that?
Yeah, so you
Okay.
would put on your AED first. This doesn't interfere with the placement of your pads or wires on the AED, and you can even shock while the device is on.
Okay.
That was the question.
Yeah.
I was paying attention just for, okay, thank you, all right.
And is that size limited?
It's always up on the left, upper part and then hold
On the
it.
side, yep.
It's pretty simple.
Just was wondering about the wires, if they would potentially get caught in the,
Yeah, we haven't had any issues with that, and it is recommended to keep the wires out from underneath the suction cup.
okay, all right.
Is that size limited?
Yes, so it's, if it fits, it ships, if that makes sense. So as long as you can fit this around your patient and it's not compressing your patient's chest, you can use the device. It's not weight limited, because what
Okay.
happens in those situations, say they have a 300-pound weight limit, you use it on a patient who's 302 pounds, you have an adverse effect or something like that, then it is a liability issue. So this is all, if your patient doesn't fit, take it off, do manual CPR.
Okay.
It's 95% of patients, 3% are too big, 2% are too small.
Okay. And does it adjust itself just based on size?
Yeah, so it actually is a smart device, so when you push play, it will slowly increase the pressure over probably the first 5 compressions to get to that depth of 2.1 inches. And so it recognizes the resistance in the patient's chest and will increase force accordingly.
I was thinking children or elderly.
Yep, can't use it on children.
Okay.
Yep, no pediatrics. But even with elderly patients, as long as they fit in there, it can be used.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else?
What about placement of it? Does that come into consideration for how well it works? Do you have to get it in a certain
Yep,
spot?
so the bottom of the suction cup needs to be immediately above the end of the sternum. I come in and do all the training per the manufacturer guidelines for all departments, and essentially every responding MFR around here, I believe, has these. And so I come in and do all the training because that is the most important thing. Everybody loves to say these are the greatest things, and they are. However, it is a tool, so it relies on the folks deploying it to be educated, and so that's on us to provide that education, because if you were to go too low or too high, that could put your patient at risk. So making sure that that's in the correct position is paramount.
That goes for regular CPR. Our ambulance is, it's key. If you go too low, too high, again, you're not getting that right compression.
So will we have multiple officers trained on it? Will all of them be?
All of our officers
All,
will be trained
perfect.
on it, and we'll also get fire trained on it.
Sweet, thank you.
And you think you hear from time to time, whenever we do have to perform CPR, it's multiple officers. We're on it for a while, and this,
I mean, when we have a class 1 come in where there's a cardiac arrest, we usually have 3-4 officers along with 3-4 firefighters on scene. So there's probably at least 8 people, during the daytime for sure, if not more, that are tied up on these scenes. Where at least this one here will relieve probably at least 3-4 of those people. I mean, really, the compression part is done. That's what takes most of our man hours this time.
Commissioners, other questions, comments? I think that the key thing for, jumping out here, just it's more great usage of, the resources we have, because we're using the opioid settlement funds, and really, it to me, kind of a no-brainer. I'm doing it. So when you just realize, having just gone through with Officer Stevens' recertification, I mean, your arms get tired. Whether you're in shape or out of shape, it taxes you hard. And to your point, the adrenaline's pumping. Everybody is kind of you're running on type A at that point because of what's going on, and this kind of takes away a lot of that risk. So.
And I think, like you said, when I looked into this too, we're one of only 2 municipalities in Kent County that does not have some type of CPR
stuff. And some of the reasons that's because we are a little bit closer to the hospitals and versus the travel time for some of these rural areas. But it's to that point now, I think that this is one of the tools we have to have in our toolbox to go with, so.
Yep.
I do have one question. Do they make bigger ones?
No.
No.
So the reason is currently Stryker designed it to be this size because when you get into older houses, generally, or a lot of times with the cardiac arrest population, it generally happens in a bathroom. And a lot of older houses, bathroom or bedroom, a lot of the older houses have a much more narrow doorway. And so they designed it to be able to fit through those spaces. Their concern would be if you put it on and even had some kind of way to adjust its width, that you'd get it on and then not be able to get it.
As you're taking them out on the stretcher, you're not taking it off at this point, you're going with, all right.
So that was kind of the thought process behind the design.
All right, commissioners, anything else? City managers? All right, commissioners, we have this on the docket for approval at the 7 o'clock meeting on the consent agenda. Can I get a little bit of a straw vote here, maybe right to left? Good. Pierce, you're set to go for the evening if you want. Thank you for making the time to come here, and looking forward, is that the demo model that? Okay, all right. Awesome. Appreciate you coming, thank you. And if those have not had the chance to go through Officer Stevens' CPR training, I highly encourage you to sign up, so he only yells at you a little bit. All right. I'm gonna take advantage, Chief Pelton, is there anything else, Chief Michael?
No, I'm good,
From
thank you.
PD? Cool, thank you. Chief Pelton's going to share an update. We had a very significant repair with one of our aging trucks. I don't think it's our oldest, maybe second oldest, third oldest. But we had a significant repair, and we asked Chief Pelton to come to share an update, and then he'll give the background and take it from there.
All right, first, to support the police on this matter with the Lucas, all for it. We had this in Allendale when I worked there. Numerous class ones, we worked with this. That thing is probably the highest use tool for cardiac arrest, because you can get down those narrow hallways, the bathrooms. So usually, if it's not in the bathroom, in that back bedroom, we can put them in the stretcher, and there's CPR going from the minute we get to the patient to the hospital. So it's a great investment and well worth the use of those opioid funds. So complete support from the fire department and the police going with that route.
Standing, thank you.
So thank you for supporting the police in this matter. So in September, we had an engine issue going on with engine one. That's asset number 125. It's the 2007 Spartan ERV engine. It's the first line engine out of station one. They're transporting up to station three while we were having some service work done on another engine, and it had an engine failure. Started to sput, had to be towed to Cummings. The repairs that as they investigated, kept getting more and more to where it's going to go towards a rebuild. It was a definitely unexpected rebuild for that whole engine, but it's something that it's not due to get replaced until 2031, 32. So we have at least another 8 years or more, and it's in great shape otherwise as far as body and structural. So working with Ben and DPW Garage, we've actually come up with a good plan of making the investment on rebuilding the motor and keeping this in place. I plan on doing a memo to the commission too, to get you updated on the history, how this happened, where we came to the decision on moving forward with the rebuild instead of buying a new motor, because if we went with a new, we're looking at the emissions upgrades that would really skyrocket the cost over the engine itself. So just wanted to get the commission a heads up of what's going on with the fire department, and yeah, it's one of the things we didn't expect this to happen, but it's glad that we are financially stable community, that we can absorb this and make that investment in getting this back on the road without having to purchase a new apparatus.
Yep, fair
Any
enough.
questions?
Commissioners, anything? All right, thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks, Chief. We have basically three things on the list this evening. Obviously, the Lucas system, which we were just updated on, the presentation on. Then we'll have, and I will actually jump in, and Madam Clerk, feel free if I miss anything. Made a couple of notes about Resolution 23-683. And then the third is the first reading for the moratorium, which we've already done an emergency issuance on that one. Resolution 23-683, those are, remember, back in 2022, Proposition 2 on the ballot was around different voting changes. One of them was early voting, and it's basically statewide, for statewide and federal elections to accommodate early voting. Basically, we have to designate by state statute now, we have to designate a place where that early voting is open. It has been decided that the commission chambers make the most sense. It's our most practical space, if you will, with that. So basically, it will be open the second Saturday before the election, because it's 9 consecutive days of in-person voting have to be allowed. So it's the second Saturday before the election and ending the Sunday prior to the election, with 8 hours of in-person voting each day. State statute, nothing around that we just, that's the law that was passed by the residents of the state of Michigan. So basically 3 options to do the 9 days: enter into agreement with the county, authorize the county to conduct it, enter into a municipal agreement and jointly conduct it with one or more other municipalities in the same county, or all for early voting as a single municipality. We've decided to go with option number 3 because they have the space and the staffing to be able to do it as it appears. This basically is really the request in front of us is, under state law, the city commission for Walker, in choosing option number 3, has to approve all voting sites. So when we change precincts and so forth, that's come before us. So this is one where, because it's going to be in here and it's the early voting and we're really required to do this, we're going to check the box and make sure that we pass that resolution, establishing that early voting polling location. That's all that we are doing. Did I miss anything on that?
Nope, you got everything. I will say for the 3 options, the county did notify us they were not willing to run it. So that option was out, and most municipalities or all municipalities in Kent County are running them independently. Consensus was between clerks that we don't know how it's gonna go. We'd like to control it at least the first time, just to see how everything goes, and then in the future could enter into an agreement, but not for the first go of
Sure.
it. So.
Fair enough. Commissioners, any questions on resolution 23-683? All right. Next on the list is 23-673's first reading to amend chapter 94. And basically it is, this is establishing the temporary moratorium on the issuance of any license permits, otherwise for the properties 3.5 acres or more. So this is basically the formalization of the emergency moratorium that we've already taken up. So this is that time if you wish to discuss anything. I know our assistant city manager, who has a wealth of knowledge on planning, is here to answer questions if needed. But I think we all kind of know where we were at. We had a healthy discussion on this the last time. None? Anything extra we should? Oh, looking at you, okay. You're welcome to. We have time here.
Yeah, I'll just say briefly that really all we're doing is aligning the zoning ordinance to the temporary moratorium we put in place. So this is just a reinforcement of the action we've already taken. I don't think there's any need to belabor the point, but just building on the work that we're already doing and reinforcing that we're going through this deliberative process and that we are being intentional about the work that we're doing.
Sure. Good enough. Good insight. Thank you.
Did the 6 months start September 11 then, or when does?
It starts on after the second reading of this, 7 days after, I believe it is, after the second reading of this, is how the ordinance reads. So it's after the second reading of it.
I don't believe there were. Steve, were there any comments at Planning Commission about this?
No.
Okay. So because this is a zoning ordinance amendment, Planning Commission held a public hearing and has made a recommendation on this ordinance to the City Commission. Sounds like it was unanimous, no comments. So it's ready to go for you folks to do your 2 readings.
Yeah, I'm almost dead positive it's the 7 days after the second reading, so.
Yeah, it'll be publication. We'll get with the clerk's office and make sure that we set that date. because that'll line up with the whiteboard exercise that we had about, here's the timeline to get the zoning ordinance updated, here's the timeline to get the master plan updated. So the end date for all of that right now is targeted for April of '24. And I think that's gonna line up well with 6 months from the date of publication on this. And if you need to extend it, then the city commission always has the right to extend.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, anything else on moratorium discussion? Seeing none, we got a few minutes. City manager?
Just one comment on the expenditures. You'll notice they're pretty large this month, or this 2 weeks, 23 million in expenditures, but 21 million of that were just passed through of property taxes to the other taxing jurisdictions, so. Don't be alarmed that we're spending $23 million in the past 2 weeks. So. And out of that, we received almost $1 million of the 23. So, but kudos to the Treasurer's Department for their meticulous tax collecting and dispersing. So usually goes pretty well every year, and this is another good year for them. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Assistant City Manager?
I was at the Michigan Association of Planning State Conference last week for 3 days. 2.5 days. And I did get a chance to sit down with Paula and our consultant, Chris Corey. Some issues came up there for new uses, things that we needed to make sure are in the code. So I just want you folks to know that the zoning ordinance is continuing to be worked on. The master plan is starting to be talked about from staff and consulting levels as well. So the moratorium is not just sitting there. We are actively working towards completion of both the zoning ordinance and the master plan. And that will obviously be a public process here, so coming into fall, you will have some joint sessions that you'll be asked to attend, so we can go over the zoning ordinance. It's a large document. If you have specific topics that you'd like to have us addressed in a presentation, please let Paula and I know, and we'll make sure to get those up there. And then the master plan will follow after the first of the year, and we're gonna clear the list of topics that the master plan update is going to cover. With both City Commission and Planning Commission. So we're proceeding in a deliberate manner to get these things done and meet the deadline of around April 24. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Commissioner DeShane?
I'm all set.
Commissioner Chase?
I attended Pumpkin Bash, was that last weekend?
Yeah.
2 weekends ago.
I had to think for a minute. Yeah.
2 weekends ago. And then we had a good community engagement meeting last week, Thursday. Looking forward to stuff that we're planning for next summer already. So trying to get ahead of the game right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Groders?
I stopped out at Station 3 and took a look at what's going on for the senior center. Oh my word, it is gorgeous. It is very, very nice, very nicely done. And I think I'm going to put it on my calendar to go there as often as I can. It looks really nice. It's very nice. I was really impressed.
Awesome. Commissioner Babcock, Commissioner Gilbert.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say I went to the Southwest Michigan Behavioral Health Forum's Healthcare Policy Conference last week, and one of the things we were talking a lot about was the opioid settlement funds. So it is very encouraging that we found a productive and beneficial use for our community for those funds, and really, really happy with the work here. So keep up the good work to everyone involved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? All right. The only things I have that should bring us almost to 7 o'clock. Yeah, just kudos to Pumpkin Bash from all involved staff. I know Nicole was running around last minute. I happened to be in here working Saturday morning and was flying through here on roller skates and was in a pretty heavy sweat at that point from running around of just things because the turnout was just so great. And you know, thank you to the Public Works Department, to police, to fire, the WIFIC staff, city staff. I saw some of them out there as well. Just a great turnout again. You know, one of the things I was thinking about out there was just come next year, we're going to have to worry a little bit about location may have to adjust with the library changes out there at that point. So that being said, stay tuned. The only other thing to the senior neighbors thing, had spoke with Bob Barnes just the other day, and they are planning a soft opening in early November. I will get the exact dates when they are firmed up. I know they're rushing on a couple of last-minute construction items to finish up in there, but it is, from a transformative, you don't recognize it. Completely different. It looks like a new coffee shop, really, in a well-done one at that. So, so that'll be early, is the soft opening is early November. They're going to allow the seniors to come in there at that point and be able to partake and get the senior neighbors, get the groups coming back in there, and then the official ribbon cutting will be early December. Again, once we have the dates, we'll let them out right away. And I think that was it on, yep, that was it. It is 7 o'clock on the nose. So, do the official. It is 7 o'clock on Monday, October 9th. We're going to start our regular city commission meeting. Call to order. I'd like to ask Commissioner Groders to deliver the invocation, lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together this evening and for your continued protection for our city staff, our public safety staff, and all those who we serve. Please guide our decisions this evening as we work to achieve the best we can for our residents. Help us to remain humble and kind and committed to what will help keep our community a great place to live, work, and thrive. And we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to invite the audience to stand and join us for Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. If I could please ask our clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Carey,
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Babcock, Commissioner Groders,
Present.
Commissioner Chase, Commissioner DeShane.
Present.
Thank you. And if I could ask for an approval and support for the absence of Commissioner Burke, please.
So moved.
Support.
I think I heard Commissioner Chase first, so. Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Chase, support. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes, September 25th, 2023. Is there any discussion on our city commission meeting minutes from that night? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner DeShane.
Support.
Commissioner Babcock. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you all. Next on the list is public comment on agenda items. If there's anything on the agenda you'd like to share public comment on, please feel free to come forward to the mic. If it's non-agenda items, we'll have the time for that in a second. So is there any public comment on agenda items? Yes, Melissa, come on up. Thank you. And I believe that mic is on. If you just tap it just a little bit. There we go, perfect.
Good evening.
Good evening. If you just share your name and address for us.
My name is Melissa Crane. I live at 2506 Bristolwood Drive, Northwest. I have lived in the city of Walker for 27 years. I drive Bristol Avenue almost every single day. And I have some great concerns over the zoning that is going on in my area, high-density apartments. I remember when York Creek Apartments went in Alpine Townships, and there was high crime, violent crime, gun crime, gang violence. And I remember back then there was a couple of commissioners that were on this city. Anyway, a couple of commissioners from Walker said, "Don't worry, that'll never happen here." And then that put me at ease, thinking I could trust, our city government to be looking out for our neighborhood and protecting me. And I simply am scared. I'm scared right now of what's going to happen. I can't imagine two areas, besides the area that's going on English Hills is huge, even bigger than York Creek, I believe. And then there's one south of the expressway off of Bristol that's zoned high density. and then one further down south of 3 Mile off of Bristol, that, and Waldorf area that's zoned high density. And I just can't imagine our population doubling, tripling in that area. For one thing, Bristol, south of Bristol could never handle that traffic. That's not what worries me the most. What worries me most is the possibility of high crime, gun violence. We live in a different world today. Young people solve their problems with guns, and we all know that. We all know that. And you're bringing it to my neighborhood, and I'm scared to death. I don't know if I should move. I don't know, I don't want to, certainly don't want to do any home improvements to my house unless it's high security and maybe training a couple of German Shepherds to be attack dogs. This is very, I feel like this would ruin our neighborhood. It's not compatible to the neighborhood. It's putting more congestion in already a congested area. There's streets, 4 streets just south of Bristol and 3 Mile that our only way out is Bristol Avenue. If this traffic continues like this, we won't even be able to get out, at certain times, at high traffic times. They recently put a stop sign at Waldorf and Bristol, Waldorf and Bristol, 3-way stop there, which has helped. It is a limited sight distance area there. So it has helped to be able to get in and out. But now I'm starting to see backups because everyone's stopping. In fact, the other day, I came around from Panel through the train trestle to go up Bristol, and immediately I had to brake because it was backed up from the stop sign to the train trestle. This area cannot handle that kind of growth. I'm so glad that you put a moratorium on the zoning ordinance, because I think it needs to be looked at again. Just the big project alone is going to add a lot of traffic to the area. Then the other two, I think it's going to turn our neighborhood into a rental neighborhood because the homes will be devalued so much that nobody's going to want to purchase a home in that area. If there's a need, I feel there's a need for single-family housing. People want to buy a house, but they don't want to buy a house in an area where there's high-density apartments. They just don't feel safe. It's not family-friendly to think, oh my gosh, I'll buy this house, but you know what? Right across the street, there's going to be all these apartments, which I could be having bullets flying through my window, maybe into my child's room. I understand there's a need for housing, but it's mostly low-income housing. It's either single family where people want to buy a home, but they want to buy an affordable home that's in a safe neighborhood, or it's very low income, which is usually Section 8 housing, which I'm afraid is what's going to happen in these large apartment complexes, which brings high crime. And right now I'm asking you, please think about, the possibility of lowering the density in those 2 other areas, or maybe changing it. There's probably a need for office as the population grows older. I'm often wondering, why do I have to drive to 54th Street to get this test? Or 68th Street, or East Paris? Why can't there be something on this side of town? I'm really hoping you will reconsider. Like I said, I can't imagine that amount of population in that small area. It's like square mile area. And you need to, I'm asking you, please keep the numbers low. I want to live in a safe neighborhood. I don't want to have to worry about home invasions and carjackings and bullets flying through my window. I would appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Crane. Is there anything else, other public comment on agenda items? Seeing none. Consent agenda, we have two items. One's expenditures in the amount of $23,310,202.91, as our city manager pointed out, the little background there. Second is the police department request to purchase the Lucas chest compression system, which we had a demonstration on the 6:30 committee of the whole meeting. Is there any question on either of the two consent agenda items? Bless you. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Chase,
Support.
Commissioner Babcock. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we are good on the consent agenda. Thank you. Next is Resolution 23-683 to establish an early voting polling location. We discussed at our 6:30 committee of the whole meeting. This is required with the passage of Proposal 2 back in November of 2022 on the state ballot, and this is amending, basically that was ordering the amendment of the Michigan Constitution, requires each municipality to have at least one early voting site for statewide and federal elections to accommodate early voting. So we've decided it's going to be here in the City Commission chambers. This resolution is basically adopting that and formalizing that requirement we have because of state statute. Is there any discussion on this? I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Support.
Commissioner DeShane, Commissioner Groders, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you all. Resolution 23-683 is passed. Next is Ordinance 23-673. This is the first reading, basically to amend Chapter 94 of our ordinances to add a new section to impose a temporary moratorium on the issuance of any licenses or other similar approvals for designated properties. As Commissioner Gilbert pointed out, this is basically formalizing the emergency moratorium that we put in place to align. So is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Groders. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Ordinance 23-673, the first reading is passed. Next on the list is any other public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. Folks in the audience, anything else? Ms. Crane, thank you again for coming up and speaking. Seeing none, Commissioner, City Manager comments? Around the horn, anything else? All right, we will adjourn here just a second. Next meeting, October 23rd, and then November 13th. And the commission chambers this November now will become those that time frame. This is going to be, that's why it's blocked on the meeting.
Yes, we have already blocked off the potential 9 days of early voting for all of next year.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's
Beautiful.
a lot of days.
Yep, it's all right. All right, if there's no objection to adjourning, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
Make a motion.
I'll support.
Commissioner Chase, Commissioner DeShane, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.